Hello everyone, welcome back to my chess channel. In today's video, I will explain you about the powers of the pawn. Before the lesson, let's solve the puzzle I gave you in my previous video. If you missed my last video, it is in the description. As my first puzzle, this is also about pinning a piece to the king. So, white's first move here is queen cut a6 pawn and attack to the black king. Now black can't capture that queen with b7 pawn because it is pinned to the king because of the bishop in g2. So the only move black has is bishop to a7 and block the check. Now white's best move is take the pawn in b7 by bishop in g2 and attack the king. Now the only move black has is to capture the bishop with the queen. Now white has a beautiful move, that rook to c8 check. So black has no other options other than capture the rook with queen. Now white can take the queen and win this game. Now let's move to today's video, and at the end of this video there is an interesting puzzle too. In my last video we have learned the values of all the pieces and how to set them up. Today we will learn how they move. The chess pieces might seem strange to you at first, but soon they will feel natural and almost a part of you. Let's begin with the unit of value in chess, the pawn. Individually, pawns are the least powerful of all pieces, but there are more of them on the board than any other piece. So it is essential to learn how to use them in coordination. The game begins with each side possessing 8 pawns, all lined up on the 2nd and 7th rank, as you have learned. In the beginning of the game, the primary function of the pawn is to take control of the center of the board and to protect the king. Despite being small, each pawn has enormous potential. The pawn's greatest power is called promotion. Anytime a pawn successfully journeys to the end of the board, it can transform into any other chess piece on the board except for the king, of course. A queen, rook, knight or bishop. We almost always promote into a queen, but there are rare exceptions which I'll show you in a bit later. So this is how the pawn moves. On each pawn's first move, it has the option of moving ahead 1 square or 2. It is very important to remember that after its first move, pawns can only move ahead 1 square at a time. So here, this e2 pawn can move to either to e3 or e4 because it is that pawn's first move. But once it is on e4, it can only move to e5. The pawn possesses a number of unique qualities. First of all, the pawn is the only piece that cannot move backwards. So, as we will explore in part 3 of the academy, we have to be careful not to overextend our pawn structure. You will see more about that later. And also, the pawn is the only piece that captures differently from how it moves. Pawns move straight ahead, but they capture diagonally. This is tricky. So in this position, the white d3 pawn can capture black's pawn on c4, but not the black pawn on d4. In this position, the white pawn on d3 can't move at all. It is blockaded by black pawn on d4 and there's nothing for it to capture. Now we are going to learn one of the most tricky rules of chess, en passant, French for in passing. This is how it works. Let's say that a white e pawn has advanced to the 5th rank. Effectively, this pawn is keeping an eye on the f and d pawns of black because of the following rule. If either of those pawns advances 2 squares, the white pawn has the option of capturing it diagonally, as if it only moved 1 square. So, if d5, white can play e takes d6. There are two important stipulations to remember. First of all, this is a one-shot deal. If white chooses not to capture the pawn immediately after d5, then he will lose a chance forever. Also, say white has a pawn on e5 and black has a pawn on d6. If black plays d6 to d5, white cannot capture en passant. This rule only applies if a pawn has moved 2 squares forward, passing an enemy pawn that is residing on its 5th rank. And don't forget that you only have one chance. Here are some couple exercises that involve en passant. In this position, black plays d5. Show me all white's possible captures. So the answers are c takes d5, e takes d5. Both are en passants. And also, e can take f6 as a normal pawn capture. So here's the today's chess puzzle. Try to find the best move for white within 20 seconds. I will give the answer in my next video. For more puzzles, go to my Facebook page using the link given in the description below. And hit like for us and subscribe our YouTube channel to learn chess. Thank you.